What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, SMARONENINE. So in this video, we're going to continue on with my materials tutorial. This is actually going to be part 2. So if you guys haven't watched part 1, make sure you jump back and watch that one first. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Go ahead and open up my map. So what I'm going to show you guys in this one is how to mix and match and some tips and tricks on how to use materials and blend them together and stuff like that. So after my part 1 video, I went ahead and made this quick patch of concrete, and I added a few more materials that we'll talk about. Okay, so how do I draw a trail off from this concrete using dirt? You know, because if you guys watched my first video, I told you guys it's not a good idea to do this because you get this nasty line right here and it just don't look good at all. So how would I avoid seeing that? So the best tip I can give you guys is just use your imagination. There's so many things you can do right here. So the first and easiest thing I can do is just add a model, add a rock right there or something, or add some debris or anything. So when my models load up someday, you can go ahead and just do something simple like this by adding a few rocks on the edge, or which I don't really do this very often, but just to give you an example. So then you can do that, and then you can just draw a trail off from that, and then it kind of hides it. But that looks kind of stupid, so I don't really do that very often. That's just an example of something you can do. Another thing you can do is put a small pond of water right here and just use a model like a bridge or something, and you can bridge off from this. But some of my go-tos, what I like to do is simply add an overlay. It's pretty much the easiest one you can do. So with overlays, you don't want to start right at the edge and draw out. Whoops, I missed it. Because you're going to get this, it ain't going to change anything. You're still going to have this grass right here. So bring your overlay up onto the material about that far, just so you can kind of see the dirt going up in. And then I don't like to use one straight one like this. I always add different so I can adjust the sizes as it comes down. So I'll go add after, add after, add after, and we'll go with 5. So what I like to do now is I like to shrink these as I come out, so it gets down to the size of the trail I want to make it come to. I mean, you can get this you can make it more even by messing with these numbers, but I don't care. It's just for tutorial purposes. Go down to that. We'll go to about 2.2. And I'll draw the trail from right back here and out, right over the overlay, just so I know right where I'm going. And then it'll kind of blend right into the trail. And the only thing about using overlays, you're going to get this kind of stupid thing going on. See how it does this kind of crap right here? So easy way to fix that is come down to like 1 and just draw into that and blend it. Just like that. And you get the idea. So you can kind of even out the sides. Whoops. And come right down into your trail. So you get the idea. So that's kind of my go-to. I use overlays a lot to hook onto another material. The most important thing, guys, is you just can't share the same space with the same material, or any material. So I can't bring forest in here unless I actually add the material on the concrete, which I showed that in the last video. Another easy way to do this is just by adding a simple puddle right here. So rather than take my geometry tool and try to lower this because it's kind of hard to see because of the grass, I'll actually go to my tint tool first and go all the way up, and I'll draw how I want my puddle to look. So I'll go like this. And that's pretty good. That'll work. And then I'll jump over to my geometry, bring this down to about 35. And then now I have a guide to go by. I can kind of see where the ground's dropping. Just a little tip, you know. this down a little, come over here to the edge a little. Now you really can't see how it's all uneven and stuff. You can flatten it out if you want, but I don't really care. I'm not going to get too particular with it. Well, we'll flatten it a little. There we go. So then once you do that, just go ahead and click anywhere and add river. Bring this over. This over here, and we want to cover the whole thing, so you guys got to make sure you bring this up or play around with this to make it nice and even, just like that. So sometimes, so that's the easy way to lay it. Sometimes when you lay a river, we'll talk about it in the river tutorial, it'll be way up like this. Just drop it all the way down until you can kind of see. I did this in a tutorial already, so I'm going to click on my 0. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to click the 1, and I'm going to right click and paste. And now both my river spots are right here. I'm just going to grab the blue, drag it over, and what that's doing is making this puddle completely even, so it ain't high on one side, low on the other. Now I don't want blue water as a puddle, so I'm going to switch that to brown, just like that. And then we can take dirt to grass, and let's draw this trail over here. And we'll go right up in here. And I'll go right to that line. I still don't want to go over the line, so I'll go right about there. And now we can get rid of the tint. We don't need the tint anymore. Unless you want. Sometimes I like to use the tint underneath the water. It's about the only place I use tint. I just won't come out of the water. I don't like the looks of the tint in the game, so I'll just do that. So it's a little darker underneath, you know. And then you can get it all realism by going to your distributions. I like using grass a lot when it comes to underneath water because I like it poking out of the water. So I'll go along the edge. Just like that. And I'll kind of put a little bit in the middle. Just like that. So my water is a little deep, but if I rebuild, you can see it poking out of the water a little bit. So I might actually take the lift tool, and I might lift this up a little bit. Like that. I don't want it coming out of the water, so I'll drop it a little, just till it's underneath the water, a little bit under the water. Then when I hit it, now you can see my grass is really coming through. So then I'll rebuild. And there we go, guys. So that's just adding to the realism. And you know what? I don't like that tint, so I'm getting rid of that tint. Changes the color of the grass too. I don't like that. Distributions, let's add a little bit of mud chunks. Add this into the water. We'll click debris stones. I'll add this around. And I'll hit randomize when I come up on the tar, just to add a little bit up here like it's been coming out of the water. And there you go. There's just a little example on how to cross, how to do a path so you don't get that grass in the middle. That's one way to hide it. That's another way to hide it over there. Another thing I like to do is if I don't want to use overlays or puddles, I'll use mud. So what I'll do is I'll take my dirt to grass, I'll go down to 35. Now we know we can't go on this line, so I'll go right as close as I can, and I'll just bring it up, switch this to 2.2, there we go, it's already there. And now I'll just draw this in a little bit, just like that. Okay, so now I want to get rid of this, so I'm going to rebuild really quick. And now I'll click on my mud tool. I'll go up to 55, I'll switch this to extrudes. I always go with extrudes first when I do mud. I just think it lays out better and it's easier to go by. So I'll cover every place where I think I'm going to put my tire tracks. Doesn't have to be really deep. You don't really want to go too deep with it anyway. Just like that. Then I'll click anywhere to set it. Then I'll click on mud again, and this time I'll go to automatic. I'll bring this down to 1.2. That's a good tire size. Automatic 55. And then just kind of draw in some tire tracks. And it doesn't matter if you have them neat. Obviously, if I was really trying right now, I'd have this looking a lot better, but and it's okay to come up on the tire a little bit. All right, so now I don't want this nice and straight, so I'm gonna go a little further with a couple. Now I'm holding the right clicker, but if you tap it, like, you get this effect. Like, it'll break the ground just a little bit, but not much. I mean, you can get creative with that too. So that looks good. We'll go ahead and set that. I'll rebuild. See how much grass I got coming through real quick. Okay, perfect. Now to even add to this, I'll do the same thing I did over there, but I won't go as deep. So I'm just gonna bring this down a little bit, this down. All right, that looks good. Now I'll go ahead and add another river. Okay, this is what I was talking about. See, now that when I click it, the water is right above. And if I grab this, I can't really see what it's doing underneath. So all I do when it does this with a river is bring it right down. Bring this side right down so it's underneath the ground. Now you can, when you click on the one and start coming up. And you should start seeing it. Okay, I gotta bring this side up. There we go. So now we're starting to see some water. And just play around with these till you get it at the height you want. I think right there is good. So I'm going to copy this. Click my one. And paste. And now I'm going to drag this over. Just like that. So that adds to the realism. Obviously I don't want it blue. Just switch that to brown. And there we go, guys. Now add a little bit of distributions to liven it up a little. Just add some debris stones. Add a little bit of mud chunks. And there we go, just like that. So that's another easy way to bring a material to a material. I mean, those are three really go-tos. I use all three of these methods the most when I'm making maps, when I'm mixing and trying to go with materials on materials. Like I said, it can be a pain in the ass, but as long as you're creative like this, I mean, this is just three ways to do it. And like I said, you can use a bridge, you can use rocks. I mean, there's all kinds of ways. Another thing I like to do around the border of my map, so if I click on my forest material, switch this to 75, put this on opacity. So I do this a lot on the border of my maps. I'll just go like the first two, or maybe three. Let's go 3. And I'll set that, click it again, go down to about 30. Go to dirt, and I can leave this right up there. Actually, let's go like 35. So the most important thing I do here is I don't just sit here and color this all in nice and dark. I want it to have some areas where it's poking through. So I'll go around the edge first, which normally I'll do the whole border of this map. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of lightly kind of scuff this in, like so. And I'll have it all different right here. Like, I don't want everything to look the same. Remember, I don't want to touch that border either. There, and then I'll do that, and then I'll just kind of quickly do this. Like, I'm not trying to cover everything, and I'll show you why. Alright, so now when I set this, it don't look very good now, but if I go ahead and right click and rebuild, this is why I lightly do it, because the base material is grass, and I still want some of that grass poking through the forest floor like this. I think this is an awesome effect. I think it looks really good through here. And now if you add distributions like some bushes, sometimes I only add the bushes to where the grass is to give it that extra look like that. and then you keep this like this is, it's, I don't know, turn and fall or something. You know, so I might just do the bushes wherever I see the grass. And then, I mean, it still looks good if you come on here as well, you know. It just adds to it. It just adds to the realism of a map. I mean, you can, like I said, you can get so creative doing this stuff. I mean, there's tons of stuff you can do. I'm just scratching the surface of all the things that I do on maps. I mean, there's tons of stuff I can show you guys, but this is another little cool trick. And okay, so of course we can't bring this material over onto this. Okay, so my line's right there, so we know we can't come over here, and we know we can't do this because we're going to get that cut off. So basically how I would do this is, let me erase some of this. Bring it down to about 75 because I want a nice... So now I'll use another overlay. Anytime I'm going into the corners, and my go-to now would be like grass road. I'll bring this over onto this just a little bit. And now I'll start bringing in my grass road. Yeah, grass road. And coming into the new material area. Just like that, guys. So that's another way how I add them on. But like I said, this is just a few ways, I mean, how to do this. You guys, I'm telling you, get so creative. So I'm already up to 16 minutes, but really quick, I'll just show you guys. So let's say I want to add a little beach to the side of this pond. So if this was a real map, I would have planned this out a little better. I wouldn't have put my pond so close to the spawn, especially if I wanted beach on this side, because I can't right now. So if I take my beach and I go to opacity and I try to, if I want beach right here and I try to do this, so look what it's going to do to my spawn. It's going to cut this off. So I can't do that. So what I would do is just go beach on the other side. So I'd bring this up to 75 or 80, doesn't matter, and I'd go on this side with it and just put the beach over here. But I can't yet because my dirt is under here. So what I want to do first is I want to delete all the dirt that I think I'm going to use right here. So I'll just go like this. And this video is going to be a little longer than I first wanted it to be, but we get a lot to show. So, all right, so 75 or 80. So I just want these outer ones right here. So now I can go ahead and add some beach. I'm going to leave it on 40 because I want a light beach right here. I don't want it too dark. So I'll just start coloring in up here. Just like that. So I can't really go much more over here, so what I'll do is I'll switch back to opacity and I'll click them too. And then I can get a little bit more beach up here. So there we go. And as far as this side, I might actually take the dirt right out if this was a real map. And then I'll use my distributions like grass long. And then I'll start going like so. Just bringing it into the water a little bit. Just like that. We'll rebuild and save this. So that's just a couple of little tips, guys, on stuff I do. And I'll do more stuff like this when we get going and show you guys how I would put this together. I might actually build this map up. It's not going to be a map I release, but build it up a little bit and show you what you can do on a simple map like I got going on here. But like you can see, you get the grass growing out here, so the beach is just on this side. Then if you lift all this up with geometry and start adding a bit of rocks through here, you can really make it look good, you know. But anyway, I think that's all I really need to show you in this video, guys. That's just a few little examples on how to come off of a material onto another, how to add some effects to the side of the map. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope some of this helped you out. If you guys have any questions, don't be shy to ask down in the comments. I'll be happy to help. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I will talk to you guys again real soon.